Unit 1, Cognitive Psychology, Presentation 6, Eyewitness Testimony, The Effect of Age on Accuracy.
Age is an important individual difference. There are other individual differences, such as gender, cultural background, experience, and so on. However, we are just interested in age.
What have research studies shown us about the effects of age on the accuracy of eyewitness testimony?
Child witnesses might be less accurate in eyewitness testimony. This includes recalling fewer details and being less able to correctly identify faces they have previously seen. They also might falsely remember some information, such as saying that they recognized a particular face when in fact that person was not present.
For example, Parker and Carranza compared the performance of primary school children and college students in terms of the accuracy of their eyewitness recall. Participants were shown a slide sequence of a mock crime and later asked to identify the person involved in the crime from a series of photographs. They were given the option of saying "target not present" because sometimes the target's photograph was not part of the series presented.
When the photograph of the target individual was not present, the younger participants were more likely to choose a photo of just anyone. In contrast, the young adults were more likely to choose the target not present option. Overall, on the occasions when the photograph of the target was present, the younger participants were also less accurate than the young adults in their identifications.
So this study suggests that age matters, and younger children are less accurate than young adults in eyewitness identification. Other research has considered the reduced accuracy of older eyewitnesses.
For example, a study by Anastasia and Rhodes looked at people from 3 age groups: young people aged 18 to 25, middle-aged people from 35 to 45, and older people aged 55 to 78. They showed participants a set of 24 photographs and asked them to rate the photographs for attractiveness. A while later, they showed the participants a set of 48 photographs, which included the original 24. Accuracy was calculated by subtracting the number of errors from the number of correct identifications. This is quite a good method because it guards against people who just say anything and so inevitably still get quite a few right.
What did Anastasia and Rhodes find?
Well, they found 2 things. First of all, they found that the older participants were significantly less accurate in identifying the photographs they had previously seen than the other 2 age groups. But they also found an interesting own age bias. What this means is that people were better at identifying photographs of people of their own age group. So, older people were more accurate when identifying photographs of other older people, but less accurate with photographs of younger people. And younger people were less accurate when it came to photographs of older people. Though, to be fair, the younger participants were still more accurate with the photographs of older people than were the older participants with photographs of older people. In other words, the younger age group were more accurate than the older age group, regardless of the age group of the photographs they were asked to identify.
There is just one other study we are going to mention, which was an experiment in a more natural setting. Daniel Yami went out into the street to conduct this research. He arranged for a young woman to go up to people in the street and talk to them for 15 seconds. 2 minutes later, Yami approached the individual the woman had spoken to and asked them to describe the young woman. In total, Yami questioned 651 adults.
As with the previous study, this experiment looked at 3 age groups. Yami found that there were no significant differences in the accuracy of recall between these groups, though the older adults were less confident about their recall.
Evaluating research on the effects of age on the accuracy of eyewitness testimony.
There appears to be some disagreement over whether older people are or are not as accurate in their eyewitness recall as younger people. One possible explanation for this is that older people might be just as good in terms of their memories, but other factors reduce their eventual accuracy. For example, their lack of confidence might have an effect on their ability to recall details of a crime scene. Another possibility is that their accuracy of recall diminishes over time. This was the conclusion reached in a study by Amina Memon and her colleagues. They showed a film to participants and then tested identification accuracy a week later. Older eyewitnesses, aged 60 to 82, were significantly less accurate than younger participants in terms of what they remembered a week later.
Another issue with this research relates to those studies conducted in lab conditions. The problem here is that participants might not take the task seriously. For example, in the study by Parker and Carranza, it might be that the young children took the task less seriously than the young adults, and this is why they made so many false and inaccurate identifications. In a real-world crime, children might try much harder to be accurate.
The real-world studies might also have extraneous variables which aren't controlled. For example, Yami found that older people felt less confident about their recall. This lack of confidence might act as an extraneous variable and make participants feel more confused. Therefore, any lack of accuracy might not be due to poor memory, but because of the issue of confidence.
A final point of evaluation is to consider why own age bias occurs. It might be that the less contact we have with certain groups of people, the poorer is our ability to discriminate between individuals in this group. This has been called the differential experience hypothesis. For example, young adults tend to spend most of their time with other young adults, and older adults tend to spend most of their time in the company of other older adults. This hypothesis has important implications for eyewitness testimony, generally because it suggests that people are less accurate when identifying groups of people with which they aren't familiar, such as different racial or age groups.
What can we conclude? It appears that very young witnesses might be less accurate in terms of eyewitness identification, and the same might be true of much older witnesses. But there might be a number of other issues involved, such as confidence and the time interval between the incident and later recall.